also some Nintendo DS games. Didn't get a whole lot, but some of these are kind of unique and weird. Elite Beat Agents, which is kind of like a kind of crappy rhythm game. Not fond of it that much. I kind of felt that I needed to buy this game because I remember the little figures that this game is licensed from were in vending machines all over the place. The job that I had lost in 2011, when I first started working at the company back in 2000, these things started popping up in these vending machines, and a couple of the people that I worked with got really into them and obsessed with them and were buying all handfuls of them and bringing them into work and lining them up on the counters and all that. So I was like, out of nostalgia's sake for that, I said I needed to have this game. Homie Rollers. Remember Homies? The little figures that you would get in the vending machines? They're like racial stereotypes. There was like Latin ones and, black ones and Asian ones. And I feel bad for owning this because there are some really horribly racist stuff in this game. It's a Mario Kart clone, and one character drives a burrito. But this was the one I really wanted once I heard what type of a game it was. The Wizard of Oz Beyond the Yellow Brick Road. It's an RPG of the Wizard of Oz. What? PS2. Shadow of Rome, which is kind of like a generic beat 'em up. Just has the Roman thing going for it. Atelier Iris 3. Grand Phantasm, which is the third game in the series. Obviously, it's part 3. Hello, Chris. This is the final game in the PlayStation 2 series that I needed to complete the little subset. Robin Hood Defender of the Crown, which is kind of like an update of the Defender of the Crown game. That was I think it was a PC game at first, and then it came out for the Nintendo, and then there's this update. It's by CinemaWare. You know you're going to be in for a weird experience. Sky Odyssey, Shaman King, Power of Spirit, Sled Storm, Red Faction. Yes. Mission Impossible Operation Surma. Arcana Heart, which is like an anime-styled fighting game. Metal Jesus had Reggie on, and they were talking about fighting games, and they brought this one up, and I kind of said, yeah, I want that one. And speaking of Metal Jesus, he's been talking about this game forever. Ever since I started watching his channel, he was always talking about this game nonstop. He eventually did a Let's Play of it, and I said, yes, that game actually looks very fun. I will have to look for a copy of that at some point in the future. Splashdown Rides Gone Wild, The Mummy Returns, which is actually not a half-bad license game. Civil War, A Nation Divided. It seemed unique. You don't see many Civil War-based games out there, so I said, sure, why not? Jak and Daxter, The Lost Frontier, which is, I do believe, the 4th game in the series. And another game that was recommended by Metal Jesus, Ghost Hunter. Reggie was on for a Halloween special episode where him and Metal Jesus were talking about horror games. Most of the games that they do talk about ended up being pretty cool, so I don't know why I keep on saying they ended up being pretty fun. They always are pretty fun, so what the hell, Chris? And the reason I picked this next game up wasn't because it looked good, because it honestly didn't. The back of it made it look like Crazy Taxi with a helicopter. I picked it up because it has no title on the spine. That got my attention. Turns out there's 2 versions of this game. There was this one, which is the original, and then they revised it to have the title on the spine, and that's the more common version. City Crisis. So now the original Xbox. Phantom Crash, Red Dead Revolver, Serious Sam, Tenchu Return from Darkness, Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc. Gotta get all the Star Wars games. Star Wars The Clone Wars, but this is the one that comes with Tetris Worlds, which is kind of awesome. Get 2 games on one disc. Thriftiness. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, which is a port of the GameCube game, which I originally had. This one has much better graphics and much better play control. Tai the Tasmanian Tiger 2, Robotech Invasion, Kokuto Chojin. Not a great one-on-one fighter, but it does have like a 4-player battle royale mode where 4 players can fight in the same arena at the same time. That's kind of awesome. The game itself, New Legends, Wrath Unleashed, which reminds me a lot of the Unholy War for the PlayStation. I did have this for the PlayStation 2, but I really wanted to have the Xbox version of it instead. Number 1, because it's in high def, and number 2, because I enjoy the controls on the Xbox more for these types of games. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind Game of the Year Edition. I had the Platinum Hits version, which I can't stand because I don't like the way they stand out on my shelf, so I found this for a few bucks and I said, do it, do now, who said you could touch my cookies? And another Metal Jesus recommendation from the same Halloween video, Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth. And it's by Bethesda, man. It's a first-person horror game. How freaking rad is that? PSP. EA Replay, which has a bunch of Genesis games on it. for the price of one game. Wing Commander, Road Rash, Syndicate, and the one that I was the most interested in, Ultima, The Black Gate, Rengoku 2, The Stairway to Heaven, Crush, Dragoneer's Aria, it's an RPG. Another Metal Jesus recommendation is Ridge Racer. Star Wars Battlefront Elite Squadron, Star Wars Battlefront Renegade Squadron. Fight! Star Ocean First Departure, Gun Showdown, another Metal Jesus recommendation. Mach, it's jet racing. Ease, The Ark of Napishtim, Pon Patapon 2! Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Plus, Mana Chemia Student Alliance. So I had been seeing this game around a lot lately at different stores, and I kept passing it up because, number one, the name tells you nothing about the game. And when I finally did look at it, it did not look all that great. Finally, I said, you know what? I'll give it a shot. It was like $1. So, do some research, and I find out that it's actually created by one of the masterminds of one of the most popular consoles of all time. The game is called Gunpei. Starting to see a connection? It was designed by Gunpei Yokoi, guy who created the Game Boy. He ended up developing this game before he died, which is kind of awesome. Why it's on the PSP and not a Nintendo system, I don't know, but whatever. I'm just glad we got it. It's a puzzler. I might actually do a review of it pretty soon, because no one ever talks about it. I haven't been getting a lot for the Wii lately. I haven't been finding anything that was worthwhile. And plus, I'm kind of, like I said before, I'm getting to my limit of the games that I'm looking for the system. But I did manage to find Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars. This is the director's cut. I don't know what would be director's cutty about it, but whatever. It's an adventure game. It's pretty cool. Geometry Wars Galaxies. I had to get it because of the shiny cover. This is like... Trauma Center, New Blood. And then there's this. I did not know what to think of it when I first heard about it, when I first got back into collecting, because this came after I got rid of my Wii. Fortune Street? It's Nintendo Monopoly, but it has Dragon Quest characters in it. You can play as a slime. What? Let's do some Xbox 360. Command & Conquer 3, Tiberium Wars. Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway. Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth Part 2. Great strategy game. Bomberman Act Zero, which is like a 3D Bomberman. Sure, why not? Secret Service, Alone in the Dark. Call of Duty 2, the limited edition of The Darkness 2. Blue Dragon. Akai Katana, which is a crazy bullet hail shooter. Oh my god, my brain hurt. I could feel my medulla oblongata pulsing in my head. Super hard, but also rad. Morph X. And I brought this up in one of my Star Wars videos because it is one of the worst Star Wars games I've ever played. Clone Wars Republic Heroes. But this is kind of awesome. I remember when this game first came out, I had no interest in it because I love the series, but this was a departure from what made me love the series to begin with. It had gone open world, and I was like, really? Come on, can we just get more of what I liked to begin with? But I found it for a couple of bucks, and I said, all right, let's check this out. And wow, Burnout Paradise. I found this at Half Price Books for $9. And for $9 to get this, it's a little beat up, but, to get this thing, what it is, was kind of awesome. The collector's edition of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. But wait a minute. I keep on talking about that I've been playing these games, but I've been whining about not having a working Xbox 360 for, like, the longest time. Like, probably since my channel first started. Oh, did I? Yeah, well, I finally bought an Xbox 360. Also got a few PlayStation 3 games. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Trilogy, Hyperdimension Neptunia, Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD Remix, Falling Skies the game, because licenses. Blood Drive. I finally have all 3 games in this series for this generation. I have the first and the third, never could find the second for a decent price. But now I have the Commander Edition of XCOM Enemy Within. There's been kind of this weird theme going through this episode so far. I keep on finding games in this series. I managed to get them all within like a month of each other. Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the Legendary Edition, which has all of the DLC in it. Wii U's been a really strange console to collect for recently. Nintendo started doing some things that I think is kind of sketchy, which is just randomly cutting production on certain games, and all of a sudden on eBay and Amazon, the prices for a couple of games have just gone through the roof. And luckily, I was able to go out and find a copy of them very quickly before the prices got jacked up in stores also. I'll save those ones that are now kind of pricey for last. Resident Evil Revelations. I had this for the PS3, but then Alpha Omega Sin was saying that if you really wanted to get the closest experience to what the 3DS version of the game offered, get the Wii U version because of the second screen that's in your controller. And he was right. It is a lot of fun. It actually makes the game a whole lot better. Pac-Man, The Ghostly Adventures. Grimsy42 made a comment on Facebook that you can only find this game, honestly, at like Walmart. And it wasn't really like Walmart in the stores. Like, you can only get it on the Walmart website. And I did some research, and there's a couple other places you can get it. The most reliable place you can get it is definitely on the Walmart website. It didn't look like it got a huge production run, so I said I might want to jump on it while I still could. Giana Sisters Twisted Dreams, the director's cut. Giana Sisters originally was a Super Mario Brothers clone that came out for, I do believe, the Commodore 64. And it's just kind of taken on a life of its own in the years afterwards. It's actually a lot of fun. The game looks beautiful. It has some gorgeous graphics, gorgeous effects. I mean, some of the monsters look like claymation almost. If you can pick this up, I highly recommend you do it. It's not all that expensive. And then Nintendo decided, you know what? We're not going to make any more copies of this game. Even though it is one of our big franchises. You know, we brought it out of mothballs for the Wii U. So all of a sudden, I'm seeing this on eBay and Amazon for like $120. And it's like, what is happening? Did a little bit of research, found a copy of it at a local GameStop, ran over there and got it for about $40. Pikmin 3. The other high-profile game that Nintendo decided to halt production on for some reason randomly is now going for about $80, $90 on eBay. In this version, they are releasing a special edition of it that is only going to have one of the 2 discs that this came with, and that is Bayonetta 2. It comes with Bayonetta 1 on a separate disc. So basically, for the $60 you would have paid for this at retail brand new, you're basically getting 2 games, so it was like $30 a game, which is not a bad deal. And this version of Bayonetta kicks the living crap out of the PS3 version. I got rid of that shit, you know, the moment I found out about this one. And then there's this. Everyone has been bitching and moaning about this game being in such limited quantity. I remember at first it was only going to be like a PAL exclusive, and then they eventually brought it over here, and everyone said it was terrible. But people still wanted a copy of it. Scalpers were buying copies of it. Pat, the NES Punk, made a video about it for his completely unnecessary podcast, saying that some scalper had bought like 10 copies of this and was trying to sell them on eBay and no one was buying. And then out of nowhere, Nintendo said, well, you know, if there is a demand for it, we'll just make another production run. And they did. Devil's Third. Is it really that bad? Also had a run on PlayStation 4. Teslagrad? Crimea Omega, which is a shmup. Also picked up this limited edition. I saw that it was available for pre-order on Amazon for about $30, which for a limited edition for a PlayStation 4 game is actually a great deal. And plus, I've heard nothing but good things about this game, so I said, I'll jump for it. Life is Strange limited edition. Comes with like a director's commentary, a licensed soundtrack, licensed songs, and this was only $30. Okay? And a 32-page art book. Really looking forward to playing this one. Wolfenstein the Old Blood, Wasteland 2 Director's Cut, Dragon Quest Heroes, The World Trees Woe and the Blight Below. Pretentious subtitle, Deadpool.
I'm touching myself tonight.
And this last PlayStation 4 game is going to be comboed with a PlayStation Vita game. This company that has just started selling games recently releases games in limited quantities. You can only get them on their website, and they sell out instantly. Their newest game, which just came out like 3 weeks ago, I want to say, sold out instantly, and they were selling them twice within the space of a day. At one point in time, I think it was 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time, and they were going to do it again that night at about 6 o'clock p.m., I think. And I went online for both. I got one game in the morning sell-through, and I got the other one on the evening sell-through. Saturday Morning RPG. The version that I got came with the soundtrack, which is by Vince DiCola, who composed the music for the Transformers movie from the 80s, which is amazing. I think he also did the music for Rocky IV. I'm not sure if I want to keep the Vita version. I might want to trade it in online. So if you are interested in a copy of Saturday Morning RPG on the Vita, let me know. And if you have something worth trading for it, I will do so. But I will most likely pop this open and give it a review. And then the Xbox One. 2 of these games were in my top 10 games of 2015 list. Those were Star Wars Battlefront and Halo 5 Guardians. I also got the Apocalypse edition of Dead Rising 3 and the return of one of my favorite game franchises of all time, Rock Band 4. And I wanted to get it for the Xbox One and not the PlayStation 4 because this comes with this legacy controller adapter which plugs in through the USB port on your Xbox One and allows you to use the controllers, the guitars, and the drums and all that from the last generation and use them here. That way it saves you money and you don't have to go out and buy all new guitars and all that, especially if you're still playing the games on your Xbox 360. But this was like an extra $20, added on to the price of the game itself, which is not a bad deal, and it works. Some of the song choices are just kind of what? But whatever, Rock Band is back. They keep on adding new songs to it. It's a fantastic game. It's a fantastic series. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. The only thing was, this box is like so pixelated. When it showed up in the mail, I thought I got a fake. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the Black Friday pickups that I got in November, which not only includes what I picked up in stores on Black Friday, but also Square Enix had a clearance sale on their website, and they had some good stuff up on their website that was discounted severely. We're talking stuff that was normally $60 going for like $20 and sometimes even $10. I mean, there was a couple games that were $7. It was crazy. And it was like all systems. They still had PSP games and Nintendo DS games and some PlayStation games. It was nuts. And I didn't get a whole lot, but there was a bunch of stuff on there that I had been looking to pick up, and getting a brand new copy of it for this cheap discounted price was awesome. So I took advantage of it before I went out, shopping at the actual stores. Black Friday, I do not go out early. I do not wait in line at 3 in the morning to go into a freaking Walmart so I can get a TV or a toaster. I go in the afternoon when everyone's already left. So what did I get from Square Enix? For the 360, the special edition of Risen 2 Dark Waters and Risen 3 Titan Lords, which are like pirate simulator games. For the PlayStation 4, I got the definitive edition of Sleeping Dogs. For the Vita, I got Army Corps of Hell. The title alone was like, buy me. And then for the PSP, there was a whole crapload of games I wanted to get. Not all of them were available, but I managed to snag Final Fantasy, Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together, dumbest subtitle ever, and Lord of Arcana. And then what I ended up picking up in stores that day went beyond anything I expected to be able to get. I expected to find a couple of games here or there. GameStop had a buy two, get one free sale. So I said, hey, you know what? I just got that 360. Let's see if I can find some decent stuff there. I picked up the Mass Effect trilogy, all 3 games, and I do believe this has the DLC also. I can finally play this series that everyone's been bragging about, except when it came to the 3rd game, because they're all like, oh, that ending was so terrible. Oh my god, you ruined my life. Oh my god, I'm dying. It's a game. Get over it. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance Gold Edition and Ultimate Alliance 2. These are basically like superhero dungeon crawl games, like Baldur's Gate. On top of the 2-for-1 sale, GameStop had also decided to discount a bunch of like brand new PlayStation 4 games, basically for all the new systems. So for PlayStation 4, for Xbox One, for the Wii U, they discounted a lot of brand new stuff from like $60 down to $20. And I wasn't going to pass that up either. I found a bunch of games that I had wanted to buy for a long time. I just didn't want to pay the $60 for because I was kind of iffy about the quality. So I got Toy Soldiers War Chest, the Hall of Fame edition. You can see who's on the cover here, right? You got He-Man, one of the Assassin's Creed dudes, Cobra Commander, and Duke. What this is like a strategy game where it's like you're playing as a bunch of like toys on a battlefield. And it's like, when you're a kid, you didn't care what franchise a toy came from. It was like, I'm going to use my G.I. Joe and I'm going to mix them up with my Transformers and my Visionaries and my Battle Beasts and all that, and they're all going to have this big-ass war. Well, that's like what this game is. And it is a lot of fun. It's not the greatest thing ever. I mean, it's not super deep or anything like that, but it's a crazy mishmash of characters and stuff like that. And there's some new unlockable ones also that you can download, which is pretty awesome. I recommend it. It's different. Metro Redux, Tearaway Unfolded, the Crafted Edition, which is like a port of a PS Vita game, which is something that's actually happening a lot lately because they just came out with Gravity Rush for the PS4, which is a Vita exclusive. Need to have that also. And the other is Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. And then these other games I picked up at the Walmart across the street, and it wasn't like I went over to the Walmart looking for games. I went over there to buy some necessities. It just so happened that I needed them on Black Friday. There was this gigantic rack of games that they had in front of the electronics section and had put these different colored stickers on them. And like one sticker meant that the game was $30, another colored sticker meant that it was $20, and another meant that it was $15. 2 of these games are on my favorite games of 2015 list, and that was Mad Max, which I got for $20, and Majora's Mask 3D, which was $25. I'm sorry, it wasn't 30, it was 25. I also got Borderlands The Handsome Collection, which was 20, and Dishonored the Definitive Edition for 15. $15! So now let's go over what I ended up picking up when I was visiting my brother in LA. So I went there for the holidays with my mother to visit my brother, who has been living there since, I do believe, 2009. We went to Universal Studios, we did a bunch of touristy things, we went to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, went to a bunch of stores, saw a bunch of movies that were not available anywhere else except for like LA and possibly New York. I saw like The Revenant and 70mm Hateful Eight. And we saw The Force Awakens at Grauman's Chinese Theater on this like laser 3D IMAX screen, which was amazing. Right before, Christmas hit, my mother, my brother, and his girlfriend went to a local Target to buy some provisions, so we can make dinner. And I went to the electronics section while they did it because I could really give a crap. I don't celebrate Christmas, so it didn't really affect me anyway. So I was like, I'm going to go off and do my own thing. They had a big section of discounted games. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. This was $10. And Arcania, The Complete Tale, $10. They also had this, and this was like $3 brand new, and I was like, I hear this game is absolutely awful. I think Pro Jared said it was like one of the worst games he's ever played, and I was like, yes, I need to have this in my collection because I'm a connoisseur of crappy games, and that is Ride to Hell Retribution. And while I was in California, GameStop was doing another 2-for-1 sale. We were in a mall. I don't remember exactly what we were looking. Oh, we went to a Bed Bath & Beyond for my brother and my mother to go look for something. And I was like, you know what? That's not my kind of store. I hear there's a GameStop in this mall. You can find me there. And I went in, and naturally I found some stuff. I had brought my Vita with me on vacation, so I would have some games to play on the plane. And, if we had some downtime. So I went straight to the Vita section and I found Soul Sacrifice, Tukiden, Age of Demons, and Persona 4 Golden, which is something I'd really been looking forward to picking up because I'm really getting into the Shin Megami Tensei games. And then one day we were going to a ramen restaurant. We're passing through this outdoor mall. And as we're walking by, I'm like, oh, look, it's a retro game store. They knew I was coming, didn't they? That's convenient. We went to eat, and on the way back, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go in there just to look around. I found a couple of things. They had a lot of stuff in there that was really overpriced. Beautiful Joe 2 for the GameCube, and this really cool combo for the Xbox. It's King of Fighters 2003 and King of Fighters 2002. And when I brought this up to the counter, the guy goes, oh, look, you got the Xbox version. He goes, I have the PS2 version behind the counter. And the reason I have it behind the counter is for some reason that one goes for over $100. And this one was going for like $15. And I was like, well, you know what? I prefer my fighting games for this generation on the Xbox, so I think I made the right choice. Out of all the days we were there, my brother set aside one day where he was going to spend the entire day with me and we were going to do anything I wanted. And I'd done some research and I said, hey, there's this store I've been hearing about called Game Dude. I hear that it's the place to go when you're a game collector. So he took me there and I walked in the front door and I took a look around and my brain went into complete meltdown mode. And it was like I was completely overstimulated. I didn't know where to start. And it's just, I almost got down on my knees and started crying. It was that crazy. The place is insane. They have so much stuff there. They don't let you touch it. Everything is behind the counter. They have like probably 10, 15 people working behind the counter at any given time. So if you're there and you're not going with anything specific in mind, you're going there to browse and pick up games that you find as you're walking around, they have to like hold your games for you and follow you around, or they'll put it in a cubby hole and just keep stacking your games up in there. There were so many games there for so many different consoles that each console had a sheet of paper that had the names of every single game available listed on it with the prices on it, so they didn't have to memorize prices. There were no books laying around. You had to go and pick up a pamphlet and bring it around with you for every single console. So I was walking around with like 6 or 7 pages, one for each of the different consoles I was looking to buy for in this store, and it was just mind-blowing. I could not comprehend the amount of games available, and I kind of lost my mind a little bit. My brother even kind of looked at me and was like, damn, Chris, damn. I can't show you a bunch of the games because I got some stuff for the Dreamcast, and those are going to go into the Dreamcasting episode, but for the PSP, I found Napoleon Dynamite the Game, which is a bunch of mini games. I'm a licensed whore. And Hellboy, The Science of Evil. Picked up another Vita game while I was there also. Me and the clerk that was helping me out started talking about this franchise. I need to pick up the games for the previous generation that are available. But they had just released 2 new ones for the series, one for the PS4, one for the Vita, and I decided to pick up the Vita version. That's Earth Defense Force 2, Invaders from Planet Space, which I put on my favorite games of 2015 list for good reason, because this game is amazing. If I had gotten 4.1, I'm pretty sure that would have been on the list instead, but for a handheld game, this is some cool-ass stuff. Also picked up, for the PlayStation, The Mummy. Konami made a Mummy game for the PlayStation 1, and it is not terrible. It is actually really fun. So now I have The Mummy for the PlayStation, The Mummy Returns for the PlayStation 2, and The Mummy Curse of the Dragon Emperor for PlayStation 2. I have all 3 Mummy movies in game form. I don't know if that's something to be proud of or something to be completely sad about. Colony Wars Vengeance, and another licensed game, but one you've probably never heard of. The City of Lost Children. This is a French sci-fi fantasy movie that came out, I do believe, in the early to mid 90s. This is by Psygnosis, and it is like a Resident Evil clone. I remember we got this at the video store I worked at. I rented it, and I actually enjoyed it. It is actually kind of fun. It is another one of those diamonds in the rough. I might do a review on this one also. And I found a PC Engine game, Burai 2, which, I remember I got Burai 1 earlier in the pickup video. So I have both games in the series. And they're both RPGs that are both in Japanese, which means I can't play either of them. And then finally, the big game that I got while I was there was one that I've been trying to find for a long time, and it has been going up in price steadily. I really want to get the PlayStation 1 version of this game, but that is super expensive, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. But this will do. Klonoa for the Wii. It's like a 3D platformer with this really cute, I can't tell if he's supposed to be a dog or a cat. I think he's supposed to be a cat. Character that goes bouncing around, and it's kind of like playing Pandemonium for the PlayStation, if you ever played that. A lot of fun, beautiful graphics, it's gorgeous, play control is amazing, and you know what, it's one of those games that came out after I got rid of my Wii, which makes me really mad that I sold that puppy. But he's a cat, not a puppy. Okay, so now we're going to talk about all of the repros that I've been buying lately, and I have been getting a lot. You might have noticed that the subtitle of this video is Etsy is Evil, and it is. It is a website that I never really looked into before. Etsy is a place where people who want to sell products that they're making at home can sell them online somewhere instead of having to go to like a craft show. I crocheted this cute little hat. You know you want it for $32. I didn't really think of it a place where people who are making repros would want to sell their products, and it turned out it is. The first place I found on Etsy was a place called Fan Brew Games. They sell mostly Sega Genesis repros, which is a console I've never bought a repro from before. Turns out they're the most easy to make and they're the cheapest, so that's why I decided to try them out with this one first because it was kind of inexpensive. So I took a chance on Fan Brew. I said I'll try one. And I bought Ninja Gaiden. The pictures made it look like the arcade game, which is a game that I've always wanted to own on a home console somewhere. And I think the only place it ever really did come out for was the Atari Lynx, which is a system I don't collect for. I might eventually. It's nothing like the Nintendo games or the arcade. It's like just a side-scrolling beat-em-up. What is it with this frickin' case? And the cartridge feels like this really cheap little dinky thing. And the label's pretty bad, and the cartridge doesn't exactly fit inside this case. I was kind of disappointed by those aspects, but it was about the game. I'm probably going to do a review about all these damn repros I bought. They do some quality stuff. I'll buy a couple more. So I bought 3. And this is where I said, I'm not buying anything from them anymore. Pringles the Game, Wolfenstein 3D, and Pulseman. The reason I said Fan Brew Games, you're kind of ticking me off a little bit, is the cases are now completely different, and they are about double the size of a standard Genesis case. They stick far out on my shelf. I think they're ugly, they're wide. None of the games came with instructions, so I was like, Fan Brew, I'm done with you. So I start searching around on Etsy. I find a couple of more stores that are selling repros. I find one called The Cartridge Arcade. They had a lot more to choose from. They gave you options. You could get like just the cartridge, you could get the cartridge in the box, you can just get the manual if you want for a lot of the games, which is how I found them because the ones from Fan Brew did not come with manuals. They were selling the manuals individually for some of the games that I bought from them, like Pulseman, so I got a manual from the Cartridge Arcade, and I got a manual for Pringles from the Cartridge Arcade. Because of that, I started looking around on their page and found a lot of games that I was really interested in. Some of them I was like, what is this? This is so odd, I have to own it. And I picked up 2 games off the bat just to try them out, to see what their quality was like, to see if it was worth it. And I was mightily impressed. So the games I picked up from them were Monster World 4, which is an adventure pseudo-RPG. And look, came in a standard size case with a really nice looking cartridge and a manual. Oh my god, that's like getting a real Genesis game. And the one I really wanted turned out to be some sort of a weird homebrew hack of a game called Combat Cars. But I wanted to get it because they turned it into a licensed game. And me and licensed games are best pals. You know, we hold hands while we jump through the fields with the flowers. Fast 5. Fast 5, really? They turned this game, Combat Cars, into a Fast 5 game. It's a Russian game. Every prompt, every word of dialogue in this game is in Russian. I have no idea what's going on. But when it comes to the character selection, you can pick O'Connor, you can pick Dominic, you can pick Letty. It's crazy. I'm definitely doing a review of this game. I'm not going to talk about what it's like, if it's any good or not. I'm going to do a review of it. Because no one seems to be talking about it, because no one seems to know about it. Because the moment I posted a picture of this on Facebook, people were like, there's a Fast 5 Genesis game? I'm like, no, it's not. It's really like a hack of another game. I'm not saying nothing about it because I want to save it for the review, because I don't think anybody's talked about this yet. So I hope I am the first. And because I like the quality of the cartridge arcade stuff so much, when my bonus check from work showed up, I said, all right. And the cartridge arcade does more than just Genesis games. They do Super Nintendo, they do Nintendo. I think they also had a couple of Game Boy Advance games. I can't be positive. I think they did have Mother 3. I kind of went a little crazy, but I got a pretty nice little bonus check, so I was like, all right, let's do this. So I got some new Genesis games. Battle Mania 2, Troubleshooter Vintage, which is kind of like Forgotten Worlds. It's a side-scrolling shooter, but instead of being a ship, you're a person, and you can shoot in all different directions. And one I have been really looking forward to playing for a long time, because it was developed by Treasure. Alien Soldier, which is a sort of beat-em-up when you play as this alien bird man fighting machine. Panorama Cotton by Sunsoft, which is kind of like this weird Space Harrier clone where you're playing as a witch and you go into the screen, and it's a shmup. Advanced Buster Hawk Glade Lancer. This is a side-scrolling shooter. And then there's these 2 things. First is an unreleased licensed game by Ocean. Well, it's by Ocean, so it would have to be a licensed game, because how many games did they make that were original? Probably none. I remember reading about it when it was about to come out back in the 90s, and it never did. And I saw that they had put it on a cartridge, and I said, give it to me. Let me have it. Lobo. It's a one-on-one fighting game starring the DC Comics anti-hero. It's kind of like their version of Deadpool. He's an alien bounty hunter. I absolutely had to have this last one because of what it is. You know I'm a super fan of this franchise. This is a hack of my favorite game in the series. Mortal Kombat 2 Unlimited. Basically what it is it's Mortal Kombat 2 with a few extra characters added into it. You can play as Shao Kahn, you can play as Kintaro, you can play as Smoke, you can play as Jade. It has levels from the original Mortal Kombat like the Pit and the Courtyard. I will definitely do a review of this one also. But I also picked up a couple of Super Nintendo games. Another Ocean licensed game that was unreleased. The Shadow. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up that's very reminiscent of Batman Returns for the Super Nintendo. And King of Demons, which is a very unique Castlevania-style game, which I'm definitely going to do a review of. But that's not it. A Facebook friend of mine, Matt Robbins, who owns Thunder Cards and Games, who was the person I ran into at the Midwest Gaming Classic last year, also sells repros on his site. Every once in a while, he'll have like a sale. He'll give out like a discount code for anything on his website. Well, I would always go for the repros right off the bat. So I got a couple from his website. One of them was Terranigma, which is an RPG by Enix, which I do believe is connected to the Illusion of Gaia series. There was like 3 games in this series. I think it's this, Soul Blazer, and Illusion of Gaia, I think. And Clock Tower, which is a survival horror game for the Super Nintendo. There was a PlayStation Clock Tower, but it was based on this. It was a remake. The only thing about these games that kind of stunk was they were cartridge only, so I had to go to Uncle Tusk, the website that I got my Star Trek V Nintendo game box and instructions for. I had to go to Uncle Tusk and buy the boxes for them. They actually had them for sale. They didn't have manuals, but I got the box, so I mean I can at least put them on the shelf, right? And then Metal Jesus did a video about a developer who had sent them a bunch of games, like a box full of, I think it was every single game that they make. The company is called Pico Interactive. Pico Interactive with a K. I have nothing to do with it. Wish I did. And what Pico Interactive does is they would actually purchase the licenses to games that never came out in the US. They bought a bunch of games that were released only in China for, I do believe, the Genesis. And they would buy games that were nearly finished for certain consoles, and they would actually finish the games. They would give them packages, boxes, instructions, put them on an authentic cart, and sell them like they're brand new games, which is kind of awesome. Games that we never had access to, games that we never might have had access to because they were never finished. And some of them look pretty cool, so Metal Jesus did this video covering all the games that they had in their library, and there was at least 2 of them I wanted. I picked up one of them, and that is World Reborn. For the Game Boy Advance. It is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. I got a brand new game for the Game Boy Advance in 2016. But this last one that I got just showed up today. I got it from another Etsy store, and it's called Fishy Face Games. The games on their page are a little pricey, but after seeing this, I have to say that it's worth it. A lot of the games on their page are the hacks of Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Super Metroid, Super Mario World. And the reason they're pricey is because they come completely complete. It comes with a box, with a real insert, with a real manual, and a very nice looking cartridge. And I saw one game that was not one of those hacks that I've been trying to get my hands on for a long time because I'm a big fan of this series now. And to get it in this state makes me a very happy collector. And that is Shin Megami Tensei for the Super Nintendo. I haven't even opened it yet. It came shrink wrapped, for Christ's sake. And it's heavy, which means there's a lot of stuff in here. I'll read you the back of it so you can get an idea what the plot is. Tokyo 99X, because we all know the Japanese are indecisive as to when their games take place. Demons from the nether realm of Makai have found their way back to Earth, and as such, have upset the balance of power. A charismatic Japanese leader attempts a coup d'etat, using these demons as a potent military force, forcing America to intervene with its military. Collect demons and summon them in battle. Use demon fusion to create more powerful demons. Wow, it sounds just like a Shin Megami Tensei game, doesn't it? I've been wanting to play this for the longest time, and now I have the opportunity to. This is a fantastic looking box. I love the way it's designed. I mean, it looks like a real, even the Atlas on it. I mean, that's just awesome. They're probably going to get more of my money in the future. And that is it. That's all. There's no more. Oh my God. I might have to do more of these just so I don't have to stack up all this crap and go over these games. Oh my God, there's so much stuff. So much stuff. Chris, God. I need an intervention. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate all the support I've been getting lately. I've been getting a lot of new likes on Facebook, which is awesome. So check out the Facebook page. The address is in the description below and at the end credits. Subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Subscribe, share, comment. I want to hear from you. What games did you think were awesome? Which repros do you think are awesome? Which repros do you think I need to look for? I want to know. Was there a couple of games in this stack you're like, what? Why? Huh? Have you been to Game Dude? And if you have, did you go a little cray-cray like I did? And Q&A, still coming, April. Leave the questions below or on my Facebook page or on my Twitter. Like I said, addresses are below in the description and at the end credits. So until next time, I am Chris, the old-ass retro gamer, signing off.